So if you are watching this recording, we're really sorry you missed our September action team call because it is going to be great. But the good news is you're going to get the full download right here. So tonight, as I mentioned earlier in the call, we have a very special climate goat takeover. And we're going to be learning about our Get Out the Vote campaign specifically for students. So I've got a bunch of people who are involved in our Elections Advisory Council that have designed this campaign from the beginning of this year, and some have been tapping into it more recently on the call to help me out, to talk a little bit about what it is that we're doing. So I think I might accidentally be putting people on the spot, but Marwan, would you be ready to talk a little bit about the GOAT campaign right now? Or should I come back to you?
Yes, I can. I have some slides prepared. If you want me to use those, yeah.
That'd be perfect. Floor is yours.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, apologies in advance if I have any, connection, speed issues, etc. Hi, everyone. Like earlier mentioned, I'm Marwan, student at University of Michigan, and have been working with Stephanie as well as Druhi Patel, Shamat Gowda, June, and Isla for the Be the Climate Goat, Get Out the Climate Vote campaign by the Higher Ed group, which you are all a part of, and the National Youth Action Team, which is the high school student group. So so what we're doing with this campaign is to persuade existing voters to prioritize climate change as a voting issue if they're not already doing so or planning to do so, as well as turn out people who care about climate change, but they aren't currently planning on voting. And that is especially including young people on campus who might be more apathetic. And as part of this, we're recruiting voters to volunteer and talk to some of the people they know and have the process basically repeat itself. And this is our take on relational organizing, which is a tactic used very effectively in a variety of different campaigns and initiatives. A little bit of background just on deep canvassing. It is a conversational tactic where you have candid, two-way, non-judgmental discussions with people, and you share your own stories and also have them share their stories as well to reinforce the values you're trying to convey. It's basically about leading with listening as opposed to imposing or enforcing your own viewpoint on another person. Some past instances of its success. There's an organization in Canada called Neighbors United that did a canvas where they were persuading people to be in support of a 100% renewable energy guarantee for the town. It was a rural mining town, and it had as high as a 40% persuasion rate. And it has a lasting impact 9 months from the conversation. Basically, the person can withstand any opposition messaging. So, like, let's say negative advertisements when it comes to climate change or people who care about climate change. This would stand up well against that. And other instances, a study was conducted that found it to be 102 times more effective than the average presidential persuasion program. For this, you can also, Stephanie, if you want, you can also paste the link in the chat. But you can scan this QR code. This is for our script that we have crafted. This is a script that is more emotionally charged than the one that we've been using up until now. But it's also shorter, and we hope it's more, user friendly. So feel free to scan that, and it'll also get, put in the chat later. So the basic flow of the script is the step one is figure out where a person's thinking is. So how do they rate climate change on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most important, 1 being the least important? Following, and this can be applicable for someone who, again, who already cares about the issue, but they're not planning on voting, or they are planning on voting, but they're not prioritizing climate change. You can then go to the step 2, which is where you do the storytelling, the story sharing. You ask them, to give an example of how climate has made an impact on them, and you do the same for yourself. You then go and connect that to basically how we have these problems that are happening to us that we notice. So that's why we need policy and solutions from government to deal with these problems that are part of a greater pattern. That pattern is climate change. Then you go to a step 4. So that's the step 3. The step 3 is making the case, and you remind them how policy is made, how the problem can be dealt with. The step 4 is processing any remaining conflict where if they're still unsure about things, and you can deal with that in some cases by giving examples of things that have happened in government recently, like the Inflation Reduction Act, which passed by very narrow margins in Congress. That's an example of something where a real solution was enacted to the problem, and one vote, one person in government, or a few votes, a few people in government could have made all the difference in the world. So that's even more reason to vote. And this is also put here, examples of how every vote counts. Then you end it, just check where their thinking is now. You give them a final rating, and hopefully they will rate climate change higher along the scale from 1 to 10 as being a more important issue. And then you thank them, and you ask if they would like you to share some more resources that can help them in their decision making. So impact so far, and this is actually up to date as of an hour ago. We have over 200 volunteers currently signed up, and I'm hoping for anyone who is in this call who isn't signed up, we'll have the link put in the chat and also have a QR code. So we have 263 people signed up on our app Empower, where we send out calls to action and people log the number of voters that they reach out to. Over 7,000 contacts in the network, and we have nearly 1,200 conversations that have happened so far. So how to get involved? Like I said, so the script should be in the chat, but you can also join Empower if you go to this link, cclusa.org/bethegoat. You can get familiar with the script. This image is a little it's for the previous one, but it's still relevant. But get familiar with the script and you can test it out. If you have questions, you can reach out to this email, electionscouncil@citizensclimatelobby.org. And you can also, the most important thing is to start having conversations with your friends and family. I give like a possible goal here. You could persuade 10 people and recruit 5. That's just, an example number. But also involve your other CCL chapter members and environmental clubs on campus. The more the merrier. This election is really super close. I believe we're about 7-8 weeks away. So we only have so much time. So really maximize the impact, make sure we get as many people, voting with this issue in mind and voting the way that we hope they will based on climate. So yeah, talk to your friends to recruit them, and talk to people who might not be voting, or they might not be voting with climate in mind. Talk to them, test the script out, and involve other people on campus.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marwan. Do folks have any questions now before we transition to getting more familiar with that script?
Also,
okay. Yeah.
Oh, Stephanie, sorry, I forgot to display the QR code. Do you want me to do that, or we can just put the Empower link in the chat?
For Empower?
Yes.
Yeah, I already put the link in the chat. It's in there.
Okay.
So people should be able to just click on that. Yeah, awesome. Okay, great. So we are actually going to go somewhat quickly to show you the components of this shorter script that Marwan was just speaking about. And the key takeaways is that the shorter script has like 3 parts to it. It's also lovingly referred to as an AHA script, an AHA script, because it walks people through anger, hope, and action. So obviously for a lot of us who might be on a college campus and might be having conversations around the election and around climate action, many of you have probably heard feelings of frustration or feel frustration yourself with government inaction on climate. So this script starts people off there, really taps into that frustration, that anger, their concern about the fact that time is running out, later is too late, and we need to take this very seriously. But as those of you who have been around CCL for a while know, that's not an emotion we typically tap into. Here, we tend to focus a lot on optimism, and there's really good reason for that. It's because psychologically, optimism helps us to move forward in a way that anger and frustration often can't. You can often get stuck in it. So in this conversation model, we are going to move people from that anger into hope through examples like what Marwan was just describing of things like the Inflation Reduction Act, like real concrete policy solutions that are being implemented because the right people get elected. And then lastly, we want to end people on action so that they feel like they are immediately able to make an impact. So when you open up this script and also even our longer format script, you'll see there are essentially it's guidance for how to have a conversation. You are all incredibly smart people who can make your own decisions about how to talk to a friend or family member that you already have a relationship with. Like, you know what a natural conversation might feel like. The important thing is hitting that anger, hope, action, narrative arc. But we're going to include examples, actual like real text that you could read if you are feeling really nervous about it or have never had a conversation like this. We also know that data is really important, and it's important to know if we're actually making a difference so that we can edit the script and make it better and stronger for future conversations. So we're going to ask you to ask the folks you speak to on a 1 to 10 scale, where does climate change and climate action rank in terms of issues that they consider when deciding upon candidates. And you're going to ask them this question at the beginning before you tap into that anger, and at the end when they're taking that first action. And there are parts of the script that we have included italics, which are sort of like pro tips to you to have a better conversation. There are also these boxes that will help you to do things like craft your story of climate impacts, the things that have made you frustrated and also made you hopeful. Guidance for how to walk people through a cone of curiosity. So asking more open-ended questions to get to know the person better and understand where they're coming from. And as I said, things that are in bold are really key data points or examples that you can use in your conversations. So we don't have a huge amount of time to practice, but I would love it if somebody would be brave enough to maybe be a volunteer and model at least this story swapping section, because I think that is one of the things that people struggle with a lot, is just knowing how to share your own story and also like draw a story out of the person that you're speaking to. Does anybody feel particularly bold today? And I promise this is a non-judgmental, very friendly environment.
It's so annoying. I can volunteer.
All right, we got June volunteering. June's going to need a conversation partner who'd like to talk to June.
One of us can do it. Sorry, we're just hopping on.
Oh, hey, hi, UVM.
Sadie, hi Sadie.
Hi June, how are you?
Are you okay? You?
I'm doing great. We have our whole officer team tonight, so
That's awesome.
we're really excited.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to have a UVM person join in the conversation. June, would you be the volunteer? So you'll be like asking the voter these questions, and Sadie, would one of your crew want to be the voter?
Yes, definitely. We'll deliberate on who that will be.
Okay. All right. We'll give you a few seconds to figure that out. So a couple of things, just guidance for people to look for. The role of the volunteer, in this case, played by June, is to try to build connection with this person, both in the story that he's going to share about his own experience of climate impacts, the good, the bad, and the ugly, And very importantly, to not try to project any particular stance on the voter that he is speaking to, but just to ask open-ended, non-judgmental questions to understand what are the key motivators that are driving that voter's behavior. So who is our voter, Sadie?
Hi, I'm Jack. Nice to meet you guys. I'm one of the officers for UVM chapter.
Hey, Jack. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Oh,
All
of
right, so
course.
I will turn it over to June to kick us off.
I just want to clarify. So we're using the AHA script.
Yeah, we're using the AHA script, and you are picking it up at the like, I'm more of a 10 on the
All the way
scale
up. My
part.
computer is just really quiet.
And the good thing is, Jack, you don't have to worry about the script. The script is mostly there for June's assistance.
Okay.
And what kind of rating is the person I'm talking to in this simulation?
Jack, on a 1 to 10 scale, where does climate action rank in terms of importance when you're making decisions about who you're going to vote for this November? With 1 being least important, 10 being most important.
Like an 8 or 9.
Awesome.
So I'm more of a 10 on this scale, and you said you're more of like an 8 or a 9. So I'm just wondering, have you ever seen pollution or climate change making an impact on your life or the lives of other people you care about?
I mean, definitely on the lives of people I care about. It hasn't so much impacted my life, and I've been very lucky in that regard. But a lot of people that I've come into contact with have been directly impacted by things like air and water pollution.
I mean, when you said that, for me, it's like I think of last year, like with the wildfires, for me at school, with the Canadian wildfires, one day I looked outside and the sky was orange. And when I went outside, everything was tinted orange and it smelled like smoke. And so when you said how it affects like your the people you care about and stuff like that, for me, when I on that day, I I was afraid how the impacts could affect my friends and family. But what about you? Like, how specifically do you think it might affect the people you know?
I mean, I definitely saw the Canadian wildfires too. I think that's something that probably had a big impact. My mom works in New York City, so she was sending me pictures. It
Oh,
was just really crazy. Um, I'm very lucky in the regard that, and privileged that I'm not so much impacted by air pollution or
mhm.
my loved ones. Um, like a little bit, but not like disproportionately.
I mean,
Um,
how has it affected you? Like, it doesn't have to be air pollution. How emissions, climate
sorry, could you
change.
say that again?
How has like climate change and weather events and stuff affected you? It doesn't have to be air pollution.
I mean, it, I guess I'd say that the biggest impact that climate change has had on me thus far in like my 20-year-old existence is probably the impact on my mindset and mental health. I think this is a lot the thing that a lot of young people really struggle with, just everything that's going on and the direction that we seem to be headed in is a very doomsday-esque scenario. And this is a monumental challenge, one that will be very difficult to overcome. And I think it's very daunting looking at that from the perspective of a young person and just trying to wrap your head around the sheer amount of work that has to be done to continue to pursue an equitable existence for humanity and continue the project of our ancestors that we have been building to and adding to up until this day. I think that's probably the main thing is mindset. Um, it's really hard to talk about the sort of physical implications or health implications just because of how young I am and
Yeah.
because of the time scale that all of that stuff takes.
Mhm.
But yeah.
So what I'm getting at is like you said, like daunting, like it's so like daunting. So I'm getting like this is all pretty like overwhelming for you as like a young person.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna pause us there because the conversation could go on and on forever and ever, which is kind of the point of a deep canvas conversation. But thank you, June and Jack. Round of applause for our volunteers.
Apologies if it was a little loud over here.
It's okay,
No
we were able
worries.
to
It's
hear
okay.
most of it. And
We'll
Jack, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing honestly. I think that probably resonated with a lot of us on the call. But what you saw June do really well there was not kind of settle for Jack's first story. Understand that there's probably something deeper and that the way that we ask and frame our stories might lead the person that we're speaking to down a path that may not be relevant to them. So June shared his story about the wildfires, and air pollution is clearly something that Jack is worried about, but hasn't impacted him on as deep of an emotional and personal level as like the impact on his mental health and mindset. So digging deeper is really important in these conversations so that now June knows when he continues the conversation to always bring it back to these mental health implications, to bring it back to the types of like choices and sacrifices Jack might have to be making based on his concern for what the future will look like and due to climate change. So I hope
And
that was helpful to folks. And yeah, Marwan, go ahead.
sorry to interject. Just one thing to keep in mind, like basically what that like ending point is the perfect moment to introduce the hope aspect, where you as a volunteer would tell the person you're feeling okay, you're feeling anxious, Jack, you're feeling anxious, whoever it is. But you know, I feel that too, but that's why I'm doing X, Y, and Z. That's why I'm voting with climate in mind, because there are these real things that have happened, these real
Can't get the speaker
successes.
to work.
There's these real successes that have, like with the Inflation Reduction Act, that have made it easier for people to have less pollutive forms of power for their home. There's real successes that have happened from people in government, and you know that one person or a few people in government could have made all the difference if there was different representation. So that's like the key thing is you want to introduce the anger or the concern, but then you follow that up with and contrast that with the hope.
Great point, Marwan. So hopefully that gives people a sense of how the conversation flows, and also the fact that it's not that intimidating. Like that was admittedly a little bit more scripted than your normal conversations might feel with a friend or somebody that you know of. But how many times have you talked to somebody that you're close to and they've expressed something like that? Like they've expressed a concern like that about climate change. I know it happens a lot in my friend group. Those conversations are happening organically. We're just helping you turn that conversation from getting stuck in that anger and frustration into actually mobilizing your friends and making sure that they're going out there and voting this November. And really connecting those values to their vote. So I want to share a few major opportunities this month because September is a big month. As Marwan mentioned, we are less than 2 months away from Election Day, which is wild. That means it's definitely crunch time. And we have a bunch of great opportunities for you to get involved in really starting this week with our Spark the Vote mini challenge. I would love it. I don't know, Gigi, if you're in a position to share a little bit, but I know you and June work together on this. So would you like to tell people a little bit about what the Spark the Vote mini challenge is?
Sure. I can give probably a general overview, but I'm sure June would be much better since he's been taking the lead on that. But basically, the Spark the Vote mini challenge is I don't remember the name of the organization, but it's a cooperation with Stephanie. Help me out here.
Why do you vote?
Why do you vote? It's a cooperation with Why Do You Vote? And basically, it is a competition. CCL specifically cooperating in the climate aspect of these videos, and people can make short social, like I believe 60-second social media videos, and submit them into this competition for the chance to win $5,000. And so it's a great opportunity to get a bunch of videos out about climate and like the climate vote. Get creative, get with your friends or chapter. Yeah, June, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I don't think so. Well, okay, sure. The deadline is this Sunday, and on their website they encourage short videos, so it doesn't need to. It's not. Don't make. It's not that intimidating. Like, it doesn't have to be this long film. Like, it's a short video.
Thank you both so much for helping us to develop guidance. So if you are interested in participating, the turnaround time is quick, but we would love to have you all do it. It's very easy to join. You can see more details about that obviously on the Why Do You Vote website. But also June and Giovanna have done a great job of putting things together on Instagram into posts and reels with a full breakdown of everything that's expected. So you can just head on over to ccl.highered on Instagram to get the full instructions on how to participate and submit your video and be entered to win that prize money.
And you can make it a group thing. You can get together with friends and make it a social thing.
Yes, absolutely. So for those of you who have a campus chapter or a campus chapter in the making, that is a really great opportunity and a great way to bring people together. Bonus, this Saturday, which is when Spark the Vote and Why Do You Vote is trying to get a lot of people to mobilize and post these videos on social media, also happens to be when we have our CCL monthly call. So if your group was already getting together to watch the monthly call, then you can also film these videos right after. Or go for a walk in the park sometime this week and film each other in a fun outdoor setting. You can be really, really creative with it, and we'll be sharing some examples on Instagram also throughout the week to inspire you as well. The other thing that is going on in September is we are running our back to school mini challenge within the GOAT campaign. So every month we've been releasing these particular goals for people to try to meet in their conversations. So this month's challenge, whereas over the summer we were focusing on talking to like our family members, friends we maybe would only see during the summer months when we were back home instead of being on campus. Now we're switching our attention to our classmates and our peers, our roommates in our dorm, and trying to have 5 conversations about climate and voting using that script, like a very similar conversation to what you just heard June and Jack have, every week. And the goal is to recruit 7 people by the end of the month who have those conversations themselves with their friends and their family. So hopefully you all are able to participate in that to get the full details on that and also get like a step-by-step prompted walkthrough. All you have to do is join us on Empower at that link I had shared in the chat earlier. And Sam, I see your hand is up. Yeah, what's your question?
Yeah, it wasn't really a question. I wanted to kind of just say, with that goal of what we're doing for this month, my hope is that when I actually get into the groups on the campus that I'm in, I'm able to actually get some of these conversations done and be able to log them and maybe recruit a few people. Like, I'm not sure if I expect to recruit 7 people, but I would at least want to try to recruit at least a couple, you know?
Absolutely. The goal, obviously, we want to set our goals high and try to reach for them. But every single person that you can mobilize and organize to get out there and talk to their friends is just amplifying your effort. That's the whole goal behind relational organizing, is like this concept of vote tripling and reaching out beyond ourselves by recruiting the people that we speak to. So however many people you can recruit is a whole bunch more people that you'll be able to reach indirectly. So it's a good idea to focus your energy there. And if you're wondering why there's so much going on in September, September 15th which is the day that those video submissions are due, is the International Day of Democracy. Of course, voting is a critical part of any democracy. So that's part of why the folks at Why Do You Vote have chosen this weekend. And in addition, September 17th is National Voter Registration Day. So another big push, especially for all of you who are on college campuses. You might have friends who are underclassmen who might have turned 18 this year, might be turning 18 right now. It's really important to get them registered to vote because that Gen Z vote is going to make a big impact in this election. So all those social media videos that you can produce and post will really help to get the word out and reach more people. So in the time that we have left, we've been doing a lot of talking at you, giving you information about the GOAT campaign and some of the resources we've produced. For our campus chapters, we're going to do an even deeper dive on things that campuses can do together next week during our campus leader call. Isla will be hosting and has a great guest speaker lined up for us. So definitely come check that out if you're a campus leader or if you've got a group on your campus that you think might be interested in getting involved in this work. But we'd also love to hear from you. What other activities do you think might motivate people in your community to get involved in some of these Get Out the Vote efforts? What resources could we be providing for you and your peers to really get that climate vote out on campus this fall? And you're welcome to just unmute or raise your hand if you've got some ideas or things you've seen other organizations do. Or maybe you're with another organization who's already doing this and we can learn from what they're up to. Did we just design the most comprehensive Get Out the Vote campaign that ever was? I really doubt it, but I'm gonna take that as a win. I'll take that as a win. Yeah, Jan.
I just had, I guess, like one question. Like, have any of you collaborated um, with like, because like we have Yale Votes, which is a really big like organization that just like encourages people to vote in general. So I was asking, like, I wanted to ask if like anyone's ever like was involved in a campaign collaborated with like groups that kind of just like do voting as like kind of like their goal is just like to encourage students to vote.
That's a really good question. So our campus chapters are just now really starting to get involved in this campaign now that they're back at school. Obviously, a lot of this campaign was more like family focused in summer, but I think that is going to be part maybe of what Isla talks about next week, because Isla has had some experience with those kinds of collaborations. I don't know if you'd like to share anything about your previous work getting out the vote, not specifically in climate, but just more generally.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some like just volunteer work. I don't know what kind of insight I can really provide, but it's really easy to do if anyone's interested. Like, I mean, you can even volunteer for a certain party if you want and go work in an office and do some voting work there. My town has a thing called Hokies Vote. It's very similar to what you just mentioned, and you can just, walk around on campus and hand out voter registration slips. And so we've done work like that. I think most campuses really have that, and even our city has something where you can just volunteer and work at the polls. And yeah, next week I'm going to be talking a little bit about just, youth advocacy and getting people registered to vote and, just coming at it from a little bit of an academic lens as well.
Yeah, something I feel like my group is on campus is doing kind of similar things. We have some plans to like do, kind of shift our efforts this semester to do like canvassing or postcarding, phone banking, like kind of more election stuff, just because that's so important for the climate. And I feel like that in of itself kind of encourages people to vote because if they like see that like a student climate group is like focusing on like getting people to vote, and the idea is like students will think like, oh, I probably should vote too if that's an important thing for the climate. So anyway, that's kind of just our plans.
Yeah, Cameron.
I think too, I'm not sure if it's already a part of like, excuse me, some of the efforts. But I know a big challenge that I see a lot of students face, not challenge, but maybe a road bump, is requesting like an absentee ballot if you live out of state. So I don't know if there's extra support to like help out those students or like provide them the links or things of that nature. But yeah, I think that would be a good idea as well.
Just had an idea. I remember when I was in college today, when I was in class today, I saw a little like kind of tabling sort of thing outside the bookstore where it was sort of like I think it was in regards to voter registration. I thought to myself, well, maybe I could suggest to come in one of the groups, and I suggested them like maybe we could like set like a little tabling event somewhere like in the book near the bookstore or something like that for to sort of and to explain why it's best to get the environmental vote out, something like that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
One question I have for you all is for uh for the GOAT campaign, what do you think of the idea of like almost social incentives by chapters, basically where we your chapters can give some kind of shout out or a prize to whoever reaches the most amount of voters in a week or in a couple of weeks or in a month. Like, do you think a social aspect like that will make it more fun for people, or will get more people to do more work as far as voter outreach?
I think maybe something similar to like levels, beating levels, or maybe saying like your bronze, gold, or silver level in terms of, and each level corresponds to like a certain number of people spoken to or something to that effect. I think could be cool to have a more like tangible thing to connect the number to.
Maybe you could like request I'm taking a public policy class, and it's like a pretty small class, like of like 20, 30 people. And so maybe I could like ask my professor who's like really passionate about getting out the vote to like do it for just our class. Because maybe our class is filled with people that are likely to care more about that. So that's my thought.
Yeah, actually on Empower we do have a star system where it's like yellow star, red star, you get a certain you get different stars based on how many conversations you've had. So there's one for reaching 50, one for reaching 25, for 15, for 10. Um, uh, so yeah, if you all like join Empower, again, the link is in the chat. You will actually find those like things. So um but yeah, thank you for that idea.
So like winning something material would be cool.
Yes, that's what
college,
I had.
we want the
Now we
stuff. We
know
want the
who's prize motivated. Okay.
wait. Okay. I'm just speaking on behalf of all college students.
No, I totally get it. We can incorporate that into some of the resources and guidance we're providing. Our campus groups will learn more about that next week. Yes, I think Stanley hit the nail on the head. On behalf of all college students, it would be cool if June got free stuff. Yes. I think that is a candidate we can all get behind. Awesome. Thank you all so much for the ideas. I am very mindful of time and that we only have 3 minutes left. If you've been on one of these higher ed calls before, you know I'm a strong believer in picks or it didn't happen. So I would love it if those of you who are off camera would be willing to come on camera so we can take a group shot for socials. And while you all get yourselves on camera, get your hair fixed, do what you gotta do. I just want to remind people that we still have opportunities to bring the week, which is that 3-part mini documentary series, to your campus. There's information about it in the agenda that I put in the chat just a few moments ago. And also in the new episode of Citizens Climate Radio, you can hear more about the Climate Goat campaign from the perspective of our youth volunteers. So go check that out too, if you're wondering how under 18-year-olds are feeling about this election. And with that, I think everybody who's going to be on camera is on camera. Thank you all so much. All right, we're gonna take a picture. So 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. As always, we do tend to hang out a little bit after the official call ends, but I do want to wrap us up on time. One really important thing that you could do to help me out tonight is to go ahead and log your attendance. Let us know that you are here tonight. This also will give your chapter credit for your activities and you being a super volunteer who comes to more events than actually are the bare minimum, which is fantastic. Thank you for going above and beyond. So please log your attendance at that link in the chat. And I'm really excited to see you next month. If not sooner, there are tons of things going on. You'll see an upcoming CCL events section in the agenda as well. So go check those out for more details on the inclusion conference, the monthly call, our other calls. There's everything going on all at once right now. So thanks for being a part of it. And we'll see you in October for our next higher ed call. Bye, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.